Hi, guys. I'm live tonight. You all. I'll wait and see who comes on. Once you come on, say hi. Gotta get my Diet Coke. Bum, 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 bum. Well, hi. How are you? Hi, Michael. So let's see. How are you doing? Everyone good? Sorry about all the stuff behind me. My youngest daughter moved back home and that's all her stuff. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I got over a second round of COVID and I fell down the stairs in front of my house. But other than that, I'm really good. Getting ready for spring. Like, I can't wait. It's going to be good. So last night, I participated in a, what's it called? StreamYard. And 3 of us were able to talk together. So I know I can't wait for spring either. So the free version, I believe I'm allowed to have 6 people on. So I'm gonna set up an account and figure out how I could get this on here and figure out how to like send an invite to people. And then I guess the first 6 that come on, we could all like see each other and talk. And it was a lot of fun because I got to talk to them live. And it was AJ's Green Topics. I don't know if you guys watch him or follow him. He does like all green topics, and he's really gotten into worms. So we've talked a lot and trying to help him because when you first start out, like anything could happen. So and then gardening with Bart Chuck, and he was on. So the 3 of us were talking. His name is Rick, and he's also a gardener and a worm guy. So it was fun doing that. So I really want to do that again because I like talking like one-on-one with people. So you're recovering too, Michael? Wow. Yeah, it stinks when you get sick. I missed like a week of work. Like, I'm a worm farmer, but I have a job outside the house part-time because I just like working outside the house. I'm very social. If I had to stay home all the time, I don't know. I'd go bananas. Oh, yeah, the African Nightcrawlers. Oh, my gosh. Mine had a problem. I hope I have African Nightcrawlers after today. What happened was, that they're very sensitive to cold. So we had that ice storm here that I told you guys about. And it was so cold outside. Even putting my heat in my house up to like 73, it still didn't make it warm enough in the basement. So the basement hit about, I think it was 60 or 62. And man, I lost some African Nightcrawlers. There's some left, but not what I had. So African Nightcrawlers are definitely suited for people in the South. You can have them up north, but then if something like this happens, then you can lose them. So, but even though they're inside my wormery inside the house, there's nothing I could do. You can't. You're not going to control Mother Nature, so you just do your best. And so, but that's all right. In my 20 years of worm farming, I have killed many worms. Many, just by accidentally doing all kinds of crazy things. So I wanted to talk to you guys about bedding. I started using a different kind of bedding, and if you saw my last video, I'm pretty sure I showed it on there. I started using straw and some wood, like flakes or wood shavings, and then pit moss. Pit moss is a type of like ground up paper. It's not peat moss, it's pit moss. It's different. And I'll tell you why I started using this. So naturally it's winter here, and I do everything to put the heat up as as high as I can in that room. And when I did, it started drying out my bins. So the edges of my bins were like this much, like dry. And I freaked out because I don't want to lose worms or anything. So I had to come up with a way to fix that problem. And this solution, like this bedding, has really fixed the problem because after I wet it, it stayed wet a lot longer. So it was less work for me to go and have to wet everything in between. And I noticed that the worms really like it. This is not the first time I've raised worms in straw. What I like about the straw is that it takes a long time to break down. So if your goal is to raise worms and not like soul casting, then you don't have to worry. But definitely it kept the moisture up even with the heat on. So I'm very happy with that. Ants hate water, so wet the bin. Wet the bin. You can also take some, breakfast grits, the ones that you make on the stove, not the ones that come in the package with all that sugar. Just grits. Take a handful and sprinkle it outside, and the ants will pick that up and eat it, and it does something to their stomach. I learned that trick from an old gardener in Texas because fire ants were getting in his compost pile in the garden. They were biting his grandchildren. So he would tell me that that's how you get rid of them. So it's an old Southern trick. And it worked. Ants don't like water. So you'll either kill them or they're going to move their mound and they're going to go somewhere else. Yeah, ants are a problem. I got it at a local farm store. I got that one at Tractor Supply. I don't know if you have them, but I live in a farming community. And I'm surrounded by farms, and I live in the country, and there's a lot of animals around here. So a lot of people use it for like their chickens and things. So I got it. And I know the purpose of using worms to compost is to eat your things. And I understand that. But I like spoiling my worms, and I like them to have the best bedding so that I could get the best health from them. So I invest a little bit in it. And the package of straw that I got it at Tractor Supply, is chopped up straw. So it comes shredded already and it's very clean and it doesn't have bugs in it. And that stuff stretches like you won't believe. But when you open it, be careful, because it's like, I'm not going to say it's vacuum sealed, but it's pretty tight in there. So when I opened it, it went and I had straw everywhere. But the worms really like it. Oh, you'll have to check back on Amazon. Yeah, I shop a lot on Amazon. I have Amazon Prime because, you get the free shipping and everything. So I like Amazon. Um, but if you go on Tractor Supply, they have a website, or I have their app. I use their app, and they also ship. So if you don't have it and you want to have it shipped to you, you can. Especially if you have like one worm bin or two, it's going to last you a long time. I use straw to use for bedding in my worm towers. Yeah, they loved it. They absolutely loved it. Yeah, check it out. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you is when you're working with straw and wood shavings, wear gloves, because I opened the bag of wood shavings and I just grabbed it and I ended up getting a splinter. It happens. Hi, Kane. How are you? So, do you guys like these live videos? Like, if you comment, I'll see your answer. Um, I like going live. I planned on going live for a long time, and you know how you just plan, oh yeah, I got to do this, oh yeah, I got to do that. One day I just said, I'm just going to press the live button and just see what happens, and I'm never going to have it perfect. So, here I am. I add, yeah, the aspen shavings. Yes. And what I like about it is that It smells so good. I love the smell of wood, especially like wood shavings. And the straw is so clean. It just smells so good. So when you go in my room, it usually smells like castings, which smells like dirt to me, but it smells like, I don't know, like a farm store that's clean. Yes, a lot of people that raise worms outside, they use pre-composted compost as their bedding and food. And then they'll put a lot of manure on top of it. But be careful what kind of manure you use. You know, chicken manure, you just can't throw it on top of the worm bin. It's a hot manure. It will hurt them. You got to pre-compost that. The only manure that I've ever just thrown in my bins is rabbit manure. And they absolutely love it. Yeah, composting lately in 5-gallon buckets. I mean, people compost and raise worms in all kinds of things. I've seen so many different things. I saw a lady that dug a hole and she put a wooden crate inside the ground and the lid was on the surface and she drilled holes in it so the worms could come and go. But she just lift up the lid, throw the scraps in, throw a handful of straw and close it up. And it's just really neat to see things like that. You missed part of my answer about the ants. So take a handful of grits and just throw it near the mound or on top of the ant mound, and they'll take it. And they say it'll do something to their stomach and it'll kill them. Yeah, ants don't like water. They hate water. So they'll either drown or move their mound. I've seen fire ants move like an entire mound over to like the other side of the yard or something. Yeah, pine takes longer. Yeah, if you watch the video before this one, I actually show you the bag I use and that I got at Tractor Supply. We have another store around here that's called Rural King. It's a farming store and they have a lot of supplies like that too that are pretty cheap. And like I said, if you only have one worm bin, you know, these things are going to last you a long time. I go through them a little faster, but I think it's worth the investment. Definitely worth the investment. I'm eating my potato chips here. I like lime potato chips. Have you all tasted lime potato chips? They're so good. Canadian suppliers. They don't have it up there? Yeah. Well, you like the lime chips too? Because I know there's Canadian, you know, worm farmers, people that raise worms up there. But remember, worm composting is also about using natural things, you know. Anything you see outside in the ground, the worm can eat. Oh yeah, if you have a sawmill near what? Yes, I would definitely get some saw from them, some sawdust. But yeah, make sure it doesn't have anything in it. But they like it. The worms like it. You can use grass, but if you use grass and it's green, only put it on the surface of your bin and watch closely because grass will heat everything up. And you don't need your bin heating up like that. Starches too. Only put starches on the surface. Never mix it in. I made that mistake one time when we lived in Texas. My bin got so hot that I could touch the outside of it and you could actually feel the heat. And it was in one of my towers. So I had to lift my tower trays up, put some sticks in between so that we could circulate the air. And about every 5 or 10 minutes, I had to take the trays off, mix the bedding, put it back. It was a nightmare, but it was worth the effort because I didn't lose my worms. But that was a mistake. I just took some old rice and I mixed it in. I figured, well, they'll eat it. Oh, yeah, they ate it. But I almost killed them at the same time. So definitely starches are rice, top layer feeder. Bread too. If you put a slice of bread on the surface, it'll ferment and rot, but it won't heat it up. They'll be able to escape if it gets too hot. like go away from it. Yeah, we have mills around here. Since I live in the forest, we have companies that will come and cut your trees down for you if you have a dead tree or something like that. And they bring this giant grinder and they'll put the tree the trunks and stuff through it, the leaves and everything, and it comes out like chips. I use that in my garden. I've never bought it inside. And I've used it as mulch, and in my compost I've thrown it. And it's a good way to use that up because, if not, it'll just sit out there on the ground and take forever. But it saves us from having to buy mulch. Yeah. You use clippings in the fall. Yes. Michael, I know you've watched my videos, but for those of you that are new and you haven't, the fall here, the leaves that I have, it's insane the amount of leaves that I have here. Like, I wish some of you worm guys would live close, because if you did and you didn't have leaves, I'd say I gave you some leaves. I gave you some leaves. I think there's someone I saw on eBay that actually sells the leaves. I don't know if I'd do that. I'd do it if someone would buy them. Probably costs like just the shipping, and they're so lightweight. But the amount of leaves we get here is insane. The only thing is now, when you bring leaves inside your house or to your worm bin, make sure you like smash the leaves really well. I'm gonna get a leaf mulcher one year, like one that shreds it, because one year, I thought I smashed them well enough, the leaves, and I didn't, because about 2 weeks later, I looked in my bin and I'm like, what are those little things? And I had the cutest little snails in there, and they were the ones with the shells. They weren't slugs. They were adorable. But I had about 500 trillion of them. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I tried DE, diatomaceous earth, the fruit grade kind. That didn't get rid of them. I tried smashing them. Of course, they continued to come out. I tried everything. I ended up taking that whole bin and just dumping it in my compost pile because there was no controlling the little snails. And, one of them or an egg or something must have come in the leaves, and I introduced it. And that's how that happened. So, and I do use leaves all the time. I just make sure I really smash them well, because I don't want something like that to happen again. I mean, they were adorable. We loved them. But oof, when they started coming out in hundreds, I'm like, there is a problem. That's a good idea, to put your leaves in the freezer for a couple of days. You should also do that with your food scraps. It'll help the worms to break it down faster, because the worms don't actually eat the food that you put in there. Some people think they have a mouth that opens up and they eat the food. No, what they eat are the microbes. So when the food starts rotting, the microbes show up and then they eat the microbes. But when you freeze your food, like especially banana leaves tend to bring fruit flies. When you freeze it, it'll kill them, so you won't have a fruit fly problem. You microwave them? Aren't you scared they're going to go on fire? I'd be afraid. Yeah, what I do with my leaves is I put them in one of those giant black garbage bags, and I start smashing it and stepping on it, and and then it sinks, so I keep the bag by the door, and then I go outside and I do it all over again. Yeah. Well, I have a freezer down here next to my office that, I keep my meats and everything. But the bottom shelf of my freezer is dedicated only to the worms. Nothing else goes down there. And I put their scraps in like Walmart bags. I roll them up and then I put them in there. So, do you all defrost your food before you put it in your worm bins? I know some people do and some don't. I do not defrost the food before putting it in, unless I'm feeding the African nightcrawlers. Because the African nightcrawlers don't like the cold, I'm not going to put, a block of frozen food in there with them so they could touch it and like possibly die or something. So you defrost it? Yeah, you can. But if you're like short on time, just put it in there, dig a hole, put it in there and put the bedding on top and then just walk away. When it finally defrosts and becomes room temperature, then they'll go at it. But not for the African nightcrawlers, poor things. You know that I have people contacting me asking me if I sell only blues. Some people are looking for only blue worms, like they just want blues for their composting ability, you know. And my website, I have the website up, but I'm slowly building it myself, which has taken me so much time because I started it from scratch and I've had to build it myself. So I have an online store there, but I haven't really put anything into it yet because I'm sourcing like what I'm going to sell in there. But right now, as far as worms, all I have for sale are my African, not my African nightcrawlers, my European nightcrawlers. Everything else, I just put that it's out of stock. But what it is that, you know, they're growing. I need to give them a chance to catch up and breed and do their thing. So, because I'm a little worm farmer, I don't have those hundreds of acres with those giant windrows that everyone has, you know. We are going to build a windrow in my garden this summer, but, you know, I'm only going to make it as big as I can handle it. I don't want to give up my job outside the house. I really like my job now. So for those of you that don't know me, I worked for almost 4 years as a correctional cook in a jail. And that was some job. That was horrible. But I have a better job now and I really like it and I really don't want to leave it to become a full-time worm farmer from home. So I'm still going to work a little bit, but you know, you do what you can. As long as worming is enjoyable for you, then you do it. Once that starts becoming a pain in your butt and it becomes like some chore that you don't want to do, then, you know, then don't bother. Worming for me is like my source of therapy. It's like my chance to relax for the day and calm down. And believe it or not, when I'm not with my worms and I'm out and about, I do think about them and make sure, like, did I water them today? Or, you know, because I take care of them. But yeah, worm farming should be enjoyable for you. And guys, there's so many people worm farming these days. When I first started like 20 years ago, there was like very little people doing this. Very little. I learned from a lady on YouTube. And I didn't like I had a really old computer that I could hardly like use, and I just started like that. Yeah, a lot of people just do it for the castings. Guys, I have castings coming out of my eyeballs. Oh my gosh, I have castings. I have a lot of it up for sale, but I know that some of it I'm just gonna have to use in my garden and just dump it out there. Yeah. Oh yeah, when I worked in that jail, my gosh, I'd come home and just work with my worms and it was so peaceful and relaxing and I could just forget about all that for the night. My swamp worms are doing great. I love them. I love them. They are so cool. What I like about them is that they look just like a red wiggler, except they're a teeny bit bigger, but they're a little bit smaller than a European nightcrawler. But you notice how red they are and they don't have those little lines? I love them. Hi, LP. How are you? Yeah. I don't it's so addictive to get into so many different types of worms because you know normally everyone starts out with the red wiggler, which I recommend because they're a very forgiving worm and they're easy to raise. And then you know then you get experience and you go on to the next one and the next one. Before you know it, you're like me. You have a million worms, 3 towers down here. I have a tower upstairs in my kitchen. I have that frog tower in my kitchen, which is purple. It's so pretty. And they're doing fine up there. I have red wigglers upstairs. So I was able to source a 100% pure Acenia fetida red regular worms. I put a nursery up with them, and they weren't easy to find, and they weren't cheap because um, a lot of people will lie to you. You know, they'll say, "Oh yeah, they're all 100% pure Acenia fetida," and then you get them, and there's blue worms in it, which is okay. But you know, if I'm looking for a certain type, you know, it's like if I want to buy European Nightcrawlers and then they send me African Nightcrawlers, I didn't want those. But I put them in a nursery and they're breeding. But these swamp worms are doing great. I just love them so much. What do you think of the solution that we came up with for the grinder? You know, I've bought worms from Buckeye Organics. They're very nice people. Are you sure they're pure? I haven't bought red wigglers from them. I bought other types of worms from them, but I like them. They're really nice, and my worms are gorgeous. So the solution, do you like it about the cart being screwed up to that, the grinder being screwed to the cart? You know, that's the only thing that I could think of to roll it outside. So, and it has those thicker, bigger wheels, and it holds about 900 pounds. No, 500 pounds. So Joe screwed on the grinder to the cart because he was afraid that when I rolled it outside to go grind, I was gonna topple it over. You know, it would fall. So I have an outlet out there. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just roll it out into the middle of the yard, like the grass, and then I could grind out there, and it won't be a problem with the dust. Yeah. Yeah, well, you all saw what I did with the grinder inside. That was something else. Guys, this is how I am. This is my life. I do things, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, why did I do that? But I'm adventurous. And my husband knew me when he married me. I was like that. I'll never change. I like to try different things, you know. I'm curious about everything. Are there any of you that are cooks out there? At the jail, I was a head cook. Today I taught my daughter how to make baguettes. Bread. She wanted to learn how to bake bread. Now my oldest daughter will not have anything to do with the worms. Hates them. Will not touch them, doesn't like them. Now my youngest daughter, she will mess with the worms. If I need help, she'll help. She doesn't care about the worms. She doesn't get grossed out by them. The only worm I have been like freaked out about a little bit are the Alabama jumpers. I do not like them. Have you guys seen them? I know I have them in my garden because last summer I found them. They're the worm that it's kind of a, I call them like muscular worms. They're very like strong and thick and hardy. But when they leave, they slither away like snakes, and that just, I can't handle that. That just freaks me out. So the way I found out is I was holding one because, of course, I found it under the straw, and I'm like, "What is this thing?" And I have a friend that's a worm expert, and he told me what they were. And that thing slithered away like a snake. I'm like, I'm done with you. You're in Kentucky. I'm in Southern Indiana. What part of Kentucky are you from? Like, you don't have to tell me the town, just, you know, the southern part, the eastern part. But here in Southern Indiana, we have them. And, you know, a lot of people say they're an invasive species. I guess they are. I have a friend that says that they're not. I don't know. Yes, the Asian jumping worm, that's what they are. I only found the around my compost pile and around the edge of the compost pile, I put a lot of straw. And when the straw starts rotting, that's where I find them. And they are huge. They're like these huge worms. I haven't found them like any other part of the yard or my garden. And I don't know how long they've been there. I'm assuming years. I don't see any damage from them. So, oh, you're in the Lexington area. Okay. I know where that is. So you guys like these live streams? It gives you a chance to ask me questions like live. I love Diet Coke. Tonight I'm cooking some Cuban black beans because I'm Cuban and my daughter up there is watching them for me. So what else do you guys want to talk about? I wish I could put this higher. It only goes like that. So the Alabama jumper is different than a leaf litter worm. Is that what you're saying, Michael? I thought they were the same thing. Because my friend Paulie Picarulo, I think his name is, his last name, he says that they're good, but I don't know. I just know that people say they're invasive, and I just hope they don't do anything to my garden. People here in Indiana say that if you find them, you should kill them. Like put them in a bucket of water or something. Just kill them. Yeah, that's what I heard. They're invasive. Have you guys seen the picture of the hammerhead worm? Oh my gosh, that thing is creepy looking. So it's got the body of a worm, but the head looks like a hammerhead shark. I don't know where you find those. I know I've just seen them because I watch a lot of documentaries. And I watch a lot of documentaries of like the world, like all countries and different things. And I've seen them. Have you guys watched anything on YouTube about the worm farming they do in India? That is interesting. Very, very good. All worms are invasive in North America. Even the the Canadian Nightcrawlers, I guess they're from Canada, right? I find a lot of worms here on the ground when it rains. Like they all come out. And I try to pick them up and put them back in the ground, but sometimes there's so many, I just can't get them all. Yeah. Yeah, that's what they say. You got to get rid of them. You notice how like thick they are? They're like muscular. Oh, but when they slither away, man, that freaks me out. I do not like them. European settlers. Have you guys heard of worm grunting? I saw a guy on YouTube do it. So he takes a stick, like a thick stick, and he puts it in the ground. He hammers it in. And then he takes like a piece of metal that's like this long and this wide, and it has like little grooves on it. And he rubs it on the top of the stick, and it creates like a vibration in the soil. And the worms start coming up. And then his family starts picking them all up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. People also do that with electricity. I wouldn't do that because I am capable of electrocuting myself. But I've seen them do it, and on YouTube you can look it up. And then they pack them up in bait cups, and then they just sell them as fishing worms. I mean, that's free worms, basically. You're just doing the work. That's what I've heard. That's why I haven't bothered to try to raise Canadian Nightcrawlers, because honestly, I don't have a refrigerator that will be like solely for them. I'm not going to give up my fridge for them. The Ice Age did. Wow, I'll have to look up a documentary about that. I like watching all those documentaries. It's just so interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. But try different beddings on your worms and see if they like it. And you know that liquid that comes out of a worm bin, leachate, people call it leachate. Yeah, that's not good to use. That stuff is toxic. Get rid of it. If your worm bin has leachate coming out of it, your worm bin is too wet. I've always said that, too wet. That's why those worm towers have that spigot so that you can monitor. And I've had leachate come out of mine because I've poured water on the top bin, the top tray, and then it just seeps down. But that stuff is toxic. That stuff is not like a compost tea, worm tea. No, 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 no. Nasty, that stuff. Before people knew, they would go and just put it on their plants in the garden and everything. And it's just not good. Not good at all. I don't know if you've had it in your bins, but it smells kind of weird too. But none of my bins have that because I've learned to regulate the moisture like years ago. Yeah, the cocoons do need a higher temperature to hatch. Now they will hatch even if they're cooler, but they're just going to take longer. But if you have them warmer, they hatch faster. Some people use those gardening mats and they put the cocoon bins on top of those. But you have to put them on a timer and you got to watch them closely because it can dry out your bin fast. The ideal temperature. And I saw a guy do this because he had a separate shed with his cocoons. His temperature inside that shed was 83 degrees. So if you put it on the gardening mat, you can monitor and regulate the heat. But yeah, they'll definitely hatch a lot faster, cocoons. So have you guys seen the cocoons of my European Nightcrawlers? It is the strangest thing. It's like I have European Nightcrawlers 100% pure in there. But I have two types of cocoons. I don't know why. I have a little smaller one that's like, comes out kind of brownish. Then I have one that's like a little rounder, like a ball, and it's yellow. And I've seen them both like hatch. So the bigger egg, you would think would have more worms in it, right? Only one worm comes out of that egg. And the smaller one, I've seen 6 worms come out of that. And I've seen 4 worms come out of that. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've always heard that European Nightcrawlers only have 1 baby per egg. Well, not mine. For some reason, mine have more than 1. And they are European Nightcrawlers because I work with them every day. So isn't that strange? So I bought a new, it's like a microscope. And I'm going to try to put it on one of those and see. Let me see if I can show it to you. I have it up here. I'm going to see if I could, oh wait, that's my GoPro. Oh, look, I have a GoPro. I've never even used it. I don't know where my microscope is. It's up there somewhere. But I'm going to see if I could put it and see if I could get them coming out. But yeah, that is weird, right? So I guess the myth is wrong that the European Nightcrawlers have 1 baby per egg. Well, not mine. So cocoons, yeah, 83 degrees is ideal, but put them on a heat mat and watch them closely. Don't let the bin dry out, and they will hatch a little faster for you. You actually use the leachate, Michael? I just dump it. I dump it out. Yeah, you have to dilute it if you're going to use it. Yes, don't use leachate on food crops. No, nothing you're going to eat. Tomatoes, cucumbers, nothing. I just feel better dumping it out, knowing that, I don't have it out there. And I make my own worm tea. And that's what I use as a fertilizer. I use my own castings and I use worm tea as a fertilizer. I have used fish emulsion, which is just fish fertilizer. And, but I had to stop that a little bit because I was attracting all the local cats. Yeah. And then one day I found a bobcat in my garden. And I honestly think that the fish emulsion brought them in. Yeah, try that. Try that and see what happens. And the day you start trying to hatch the cocoons a little faster, mark it on your calendar so you can see how long, it'll take you. But, worm farmers who want to hatch them faster do that, because the faster they hatch, the faster the babies come. So, but I don't do it. I don't do it because I'm inside and I can regulate the temperature, even though my worm moves is more on the cooler side. They don't have a problem, unless you're an African nightcrawler, I guess. But I'll have to check the rest of my African nightcrawlers and see. Hi, Anne. Plant Obsessed is here. So I might take the ones that I have actually left and put them in one of my towers and raise them that way, because I have raised African nightcrawlers in a tower. But I was telling a man how I lost some of my African nightcrawlers when we had that ice storm here. My room hit about 60 to 63 degrees, and some of them didn't make it. Yeah. Well, in order for cocoons to hatch, remember, you got to keep it moist. And guys, if you want your worms to breed, keep their bins on the moist side. They like it a little more moist than just a regular bin. But don't saturate it to where there's water sitting at the bottom of your bin. That's not good. But keep it moist. They will breed for you. Yes, Plant Obsessed has a great channel. I've been watching her for a long time. Every time she comes up with a new one, I pop it on. We got Mimi's Worms. Her name is Samantha. She has a big worm farm. You can check out. She's recently started putting out more videos, which I like. I told her I like them. I like watching them all. So you can go to her website. It's mimiworms.com. And she has worms just like I do, all kinds, and she sells all kinds of things. She recently started putting up more of her videos, which I'm really enjoying. Now, I watch all your videos. I just don't comment on everyone because I have so many. I would subscribe to so many channels. It is ridiculous. But usually when I'm working, I'll put you on in the background and I glance over and I watch and I listen. So yeah, Mimi's another one that really recently started doing lives so that you can ask her questions, because she's helped me a lot. I've asked her questions and we've talked some, and we've really helped each other out. And I enjoy doing that because I don't do that with a lot of worm farmers, because a lot of them just, they won't tell me the truth. But I know she does. And Mimi got started raising worms because of her grandson. She was taking him fishing, and, it can be expensive. You start buying all those worms, and she's like, well, I'm going to raise them. And that's exactly what she did. So, yeah, I know it becomes an obsession. I'm telling you. So when I first started worm farming, and remember when I started, a million years ago, a lot of people didn't do this. Man, people thought I was strange. They're like, she's a weirdo. She likes worms. She plays with them. I'm not playing with them. I'm composting with them. But yeah, people thought I was weird. And I'm like, well, okay, I'm weird then. Who cares? You're welcome, Samantha. Yeah, we're all weird. We're all weird wormers. Who cares, right? We love them all. But I just, Mimi, I just started telling them about the new bedding that I'm using. I'm using straw and pit moss and some of the wood shavings. And I'm noticing that my bins are staying moist longer. They're not drying out as much because I have heat in that room, because I have them indoors. And it's really saved me some work from having to like water every day because they're drying out. That's right. I was a trendsetter, you see? I've always done so many things though. Like I raise worms, I crochet, I sew, I cook, I bake bread. One time I tried making soap. Okay. I made soap one time, and it wasn't the type that you pour and you melt and you pour. Okay, no, not me. I wanted to do lye. I wanted to do the whole thing. So I took it outside because I was afraid I was going to pass out by the fumes. I made the soap. My dad was visiting, and I said, try this bar of soap. I didn't know that you had to let soap cure for like 2 weeks. So he takes it in the shower, and he says that the hair on his arms fell out. So yeah, I don't know what I did to him. Yeah, oh, fungus gnats. I hate those things. So what I do is what are you gonna try in the breeder bins, Mimi? You're gonna try the different bedding? That's what I've been using. And it's actually worked out a lot better. And I get my chopped up straw at Feeder Supply. No, Tractor Supply, because when I buy straw here from like a farm, it comes in big pieces like this and it has bugs in it. And I'll use it in my garden, but in here, I buy the chopped up straw from Tractor Supply and it comes in a huge square thing and it like lasts forever. And they like it. I've raised worms in straw before and they really like it. So what are we talking about? Fungus gnats. Okay. And those other little bugs that come on the banana, I forget them sometimes. Fruit flies. Okay. So what I do is I buy mosquito dunks. And I grind them up and make them powder. And then when I start new bedding, I put about 1/8 of a teaspoon in it. I just sprinkle it on top and mix it in, and I don't have a problem with any flying insect. And mosquito dunks are they're made of natural bacteria, so it doesn't hurt the worms. It doesn't hurt anything. So you can try that. You try the continuous flow. I don't have a flow through bin. I don't have the room for it. I know people that do, and they scrape, the castings, and the castings fall. But I don't have one. There, Mimi's business partner, Steve, he's the one that came up with the urban worm bag, and that's kind of like that. It's a bag, and you just compost in it, and then the castings will fall out of the bottom. So if I get one, that would probably be the only one because instead of being wide, it's more narrow and I'll probably be able to fit it, So, but we'll see. I buy so many worm things. Actually, my husband buys a lot of my worm things for me. He gives them to me as gifts. And that's why people think, it's weird. Like, oh, V, what did your husband get you for your anniversary? I got worms. They're like, what? I haven't. She makes her own BTI from old, but no, I haven't seen that. I'll have to go back and look. Was it recently or has it been a while? I haven't seen it. I'll have to go back. I might have even had it playing in the background. I just didn't realize it. Have you all ever had like a fruit fly infestation? I have, and it is horrible. Okay, I'll have to look. I mean, they were just everywhere. And the reason I got them was because we were juicing at the time and we were eating a lot of fruit and things, and we had a lot of banana peels. And I didn't freeze my banana peels. So when I put them in the bin, I made the mistake of just laying the banana peel on top. I just like threw it in. I didn't bury it in their bedding. Oh my gosh. I had fruit flies everywhere and it was horrible. Yeah, I like making my own worm tea. I just do. I bought a bubbler at the pet store with one of those skinny tubes and the little motor, kind of like a bubbler that you would put in a fish tank. And I put that in the bottom of one of those big Home Depot orange buckets. And I take my castings and I put it in a muslin bag. I tie a knot and I let it soak in there. And I like to add gardening molasses to my worm tea, and I add other little things here and there. And then I let it bubble for like 2 days and then I use it. And the reason I use the bubbler is because when you're making worm tea, you can't really let that just sit there. You got to stir it. And you should stir it a few times a day, I think, because that's what's going to get the microbes going. And that gardening molasses is when it's gonna get those microbes going. Because if you let it sit there, it can go anaerobic. It'll rot on you. Ugh. So the bubbler works great. Yeah, and you use one too. It's pretty cheap too. I think I paid like, I don't know if it was $8 for it. Oh, the fruit flies, you had hundreds. Oh, they're horrible. And you'll eventually get rid of them, but it's a chore. And I had like mason jars with the plastic at the top, poke the holes, the vinegar, and oh my gosh. And I was catching them like that, but it was just everywhere. It took a bit. It took a bit. Yeah, gardening molasses I use. One time I didn't have gardening molasses, so I just used the molasses I bake with, and it was fine. And I was telling them that I like using fish emulsion in my garden besides my castings, and I had to stop for a while because all the local cats were showing up in my garden. So one day I walk out there and there's a bobcat in my garden. I'm like, no. The minute he saw me, he ran. But I've ran into bobcats twice on my property here. And honestly, I think the fish emulsion just brought them in. They smell it and they come to see what it is. Yeah, see, it's cheap. They got those bubblers at Walmart. It'll save you time from having to just, I got to mix the worm tea and then you got to gut the stick and it'll just save you time. I just put it out here and I just let it bubble away. Now be careful. Don't fill it up like all the way to the top because when you bubble it, it's going to get bubbles and you don't want that like pouring out. Yeah. Oh, the raccoons here are something else. And they're not afraid of people. The ones around here, they're so brave. Like they literally come to my bird feeder and I knock on the window. They show me their teeth. Like, do you know that I had a solid black raccoon come to my bird feeder at night? I had never seen a solid black raccoon. I didn't know what it was. He was solid black and he had a little white on the edge of his ears up here and on the tip of his nose. At first I looked down and I'm like, what in the world is that thing? And it was a black raccoon. I love it. Yeah, that sticky tape that you hang for the flies. I think it's gross. That brown stuff. I had to put some of that up to catch the flying insects. I mean, you have to, guys. I mean, when you're a worm farmer and you raise worms, it's gonna happen sometimes, and it is what it is. You just do your best, especially in the summer because the fruit skins and everything. You know what I find takes a long time to break down in the worm bins is the potato peels. Even if I freeze them for some reason, they just take forever. Rats, I don't have rats here, but when I lived in Texas, our property was at the edge of a bayou and there were some rats down there that were massive and they're so smart. I hate those things. I would every day I'd deal with them. They would wait for my tomatoes to be red and then they'd come and hollow them out while they're still hanging on the plant. Have you ever seen a rat swim? They're marathon swimmers. Those things are huge. And that's why I didn't keep my worm bin outside in Texas. First of all, the rats would have demolished them. And then the fire ants would have killed all my worms. So I kept them inside in my kitchen. Fruit flies freezing only kills the eggs on the food. Oh, I hate those flying things. I don't know what's worse, the fungus gnats or the fruit flies. I think they're both up there, but they're a pain in the butt. And then, of course, my snail infestation that I had. Oh gosh, you had one in your house. Uh, you watch Why Did Davy Gardening, her channel? I think she had her worms. I don't know if it was her basement or a shed, and she had problems with mice down there. Then there was someone else I watched that had a huge rat coming in, and they put a camera up and they actually saw the rat coming in. They're terrible. Next to the sink, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, the vinegar traps. Yeah, I tried them. I had quite a few. But when it happened to me, there were so many, I couldn't like control them. And then finally, the population started diminishing. But, you know, after like 3 or 4 days, I had to change the vinegar out because it's like they lost interest. I love having a trail cam. I have trail cams out there watching the deer. I watch all kinds of animals. I'm going to leave it on in the fall to see if I get more animals and one of those animal compilation things, or just put a video of the animals because they're so pretty. Mine is it's weatherproof, and it's like a Bluetooth, but even though it doesn't Bluetooth anything. Rat video. Have you seen that documentary about rats? I think you can find it on YouTube. The rats in New York. Oh my gosh, they're like the size of cats. Yeah, black soldier flies. I would get them in my bins outside. I get them in my bins outside. And when I had some worm bins in my garage, I had black soldier flies in them. And they're awesome composters, you know, but and they won't hurt your worms unless they're excessive amounts. Because if there's too many in there, they're gonna heat up your bin, and then obviously that's not good for the worms. So when I find them in my worm bins, if my outdoor ones, my garage ones, I just pick them out and I throw them away. If you have chickens would love to eat them. They just gross me out a little bit because they kind of look like a maggot. Oh, and they kind of like they wiggle. I mean, I'm a worm lady, I know, but there are certain things like that that I just don't like. Especially those worms that slither away like a snake. No, 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 no. Pest control management is part of my job. Oh my gosh. Rats. Yeah, rats are smart. Is that what you do besides worm farming? And so after I left the jail, I got a job as a cook at a bed and breakfast. And it was an old Victorian house. And I loved it. I had so much fun there. I just pretended I was in Downton Abbey the whole time. And I liked it. The reason I don't work there anymore is because it wasn't steady work. It was like when they needed me. And I was looking for something more steady, like the days and the times I knew. That way I could plan my life around it. So I got a different part-time job and I really like it. And then I do my worms and I have my website that I'm building and I sell things, you know. It's a little side hustle for me. I've always been entrepreneurial. Food quality management. Oh boy. Yeah, when I was in the jail, I was the kitchen manager and the head cook. And I had like 5 inmates that would help me in the kitchen and other ladies that worked there. And it was pretty horrible. I don't know how I did it as long as I did. I really did. And my husband wanted me to leave so many times. He's like, it's dangerous. You got to get out of there. And I had to wear a shirt with a sheriff's badge. And they say, you're the police. I'm like, I'm not the police. I'm a chef. But I'm a lot happier now. And if you look at some of my past videos, I mean, I try to be happy on camera, but I could tell, like, I was a little sad. I was tired all the time. It was just extremely stressful. And thank God I have a good husband because he helped me a lot through things like that. He'd make me tea and cook for me and clean the house before I got home, if he was home, just to make me feel better. But yeah, I'm a lot happier now. So I've done so many jobs in my life, it's unbelievable. But Mimi's Samantha, she stopped working and she is a full-time worm farmer now. And I believe she has her granddaughter working for her and her son. So, and let me tell you, worm farming is not easy. It is a 7-day-a-week job. Even though I do take a day off occasionally, I do it for myself because I get tired. But if I'm going to take a day off, like if I take Saturday off, I make sure on Friday that all my worms are taken care of so that Saturday I don't have to worry about them. I can just enjoy whatever else I'm doing. I'm always doing something though. Today I decided to scrub the floor on the entrance of my house, like on my hands and knees with a brush, and I bleached the door. I cleaned the door with bleach. I don't know why. I just did. It's like I'm getting excited for spring and I start my spring cleaning now. So when spring comes, I don't have to do it. So I can get busy, planting. And what are you guys going to plant this year? I'm going to try to keep it to a minimal. I say that every year and I really don't, but still. Last year I didn't have a potato crop at all. I had a mole go in all my garden beds and eat everything. And he literally took a bite out of every potato I had. I didn't get a single potato that did not have a bite on it. Yeah, it is a lot of work, but I enjoy it too. I enjoy working with all my worms and all the different ones I have. And they're all different. Once you start worm farming for a while and you get different types of worms, it's like I always say they have different personalities because they kind of act different. And I can tell, like well, we know the blues are very active worms and they're very wiggly and they wiggle around. And then the European nightcrawlers are like chunky and fat and they're kind of lazy. They're actually a boring worm, but they compost great and they're great to fish with. And the red wigglers are kind of chill. They're mellow, even though sometimes you touch them and they go crazy, so they're all different. Bought some fig cuttings and okay. Well, that'll be fun. Yeah, the black soldier flies are great composters, but man, they gross me out. Ooh, I can't stand them. I know people that raise only those black soldier flies, and they sell them. And I see them put their hands in it like that and bring it. Oh, I can't. Oh, I can't. You can't pay me enough to do that. Not them. Well, that's good. That's going to be nice. I'm going to try, I love Cuban peppers because I'm Cuban. But they are the hardest pepper to grow for me. I don't know why they take forever. And sometimes they don't even sprout. So every year I get desperate to put them outside because I want them to grow. I put them out there too fast. And then either the snails eat them or it gets cold one day and there it is. So this year I promised I'm going to be patient. I'm going to grow them inside and I'm not going to put them out till like way after Mother's Day. Oh, I understand, Mimi. Mimi says she loves to garden, but these days the worms don't leave time at all. I know. It's a full-time job. And now you started selling on Amazon, which I've looked into, but I'm just not ready. Because I know that must be a lot of work. Right now I just have my website. I go on eBay. I like selling on eBay, even though I run into like a lot of weirdos. And not weirdos like us, like in the good way. There's some strange people on there. There really are. People lie left and right. Oh my gosh. Some crazy lady went on my eBay page and put this thing that her worms arrived dead. And like she decided to put this long thing on like 5 days after they had been delivered already. But she never contacted me at all to tell me that they arrived dead. And I don't believe a word she said, but I'm fighting with eBay to take that off because I told them it's just not true and it's not right. But, it is what it is. Those of you that know me know the truth and, Yeah, don't forget to hit that like button. Show me some love. It's almost too much, Mimi. Oh, Amazon. Oh my gosh, I can just imagine. Yeah, no, maybe I'll get there one day. But I just left the jail job in August, and I've been like trying to just catch up on things here because when I worked at that jail, I was there from 40 to 60 hours a week, and I didn't have time for anything. I didn't have a life. My worms were like my only thing, and that's all I had time for. So now I'm just trying to catch up on everything. Joe's starting to paint the house for me, and he's building me the vibrating sifter. We're coming up with that. He's going to do that to help me so that I don't struggle. Um, Even though Cheryl's rotary sifter that I have, I love it. But it's a 1/4 inch, and I need the ones with the smaller holes. So he's going to build me a vibrating one because I have all the equipment. So that's going to be handy for me when I need to harvest, like sift out my castings and things. The last time I had to sift out castings, my gosh, I had so many European Nightcrawler cocoons. I mean, there was a million of them, and it took me forever to get those out. So with my new sifter, it's still going to be work, but it'll be a lot easier for me. So for those of you that are new here, if you haven't subscribed yet, press that subscribe button and the little bell, and that way you'll know when I'm coming on. Well, hi, Rick. Rick is here from Gardening with Barchuck, and him and I were on last night with AJ. The three of us live were talking, and a lot of I know some of you were there. I recognize your names. And it was fun. I really, really enjoyed talking live like that to each other because we could ask each other things and answer each other's questions. And so it was fun. I would love to do it. The free version, I can have 6 people on. But I think the next upgraded up, if you pay for it, StreamYard it's called, I think you can have 10 people. But I'll do the free one. Well, nothing. We're just talking worms and all kinds of things here, Rick. How worm farming is, we all love it, but it's not an easy job if you're going to do it in a large amount. Yes, the one that World Compost has, actually, we've watched his video several times. He has 2 videos. He has the first one that he did with it's some kind of screw gun or something, and it works, but he upgraded it. And he put the vibrating motor on, and it's a little motor like this, and I got it on eBay. And then you can buy this other thing that attaches to it, and it has a nozzle, and you can control how much vibrating you actually want, because you might not want it high like all the way. So so he used the same one, and they're not expensive. I found it on eBay, so that's the one we're going to use. So, and Joe got the springs. So because I noticed that when you put the vibrating thing on the wood, if you put the spring, it not only vibrates, it kind of bounces. So I'm hoping that the bouncing will help any worms that are there just go down. So, but when I use this, I'm gonna do it with you guys. I'm gonna show you, that way we can both see. We can all see what's gonna happen. So I wanted to go outside and make some chow with my machine, but it was raining. And here in Indiana, when spring is gonna come, it starts to rain a lot. But that's all right. I'll get a day when it's the weather's good and I could drag my my grinder outside. I love that machine. That was a really good investment. It really was. And it works. It works also with water. If I ever want to grind anything wet, you can run water through it and grind like that. Oh, you got 8 inches of snow. Oh, gosh. I love winter, but when it snows like that and you can't go anywhere, and it just drives me nuts. But you know what I do? I just go to my worm room after I get like my chores done here, whatever I want to get done, and I put my TV on in there and I listen to all you guys. Like Mimi, when you do the lives, I put it on and I listen in the back because I don't really have to watch. But spring is coming. Spring is coming. Don't even look at the snow. Just forget it and do your thing inside. And before you know it, it'll be done. Snow here. Got to feed the blue tomorrow. What state do you live in, Anne? I can't wait either. Yeah, I know. 8 inches of snow. That's no joke. Ugh. So my birthday's on Wednesday. Yay! I'm gonna be 51. I think I work that day, so I'm excited to go to work. But that morning, because I work at night, I think I'm gonna start my Cuban pepper seeds. Because they take a long time to sprout. It's like, you're in Illinois. Yeah, you have winters too. I know the cold I like the winter, but it makes my joints hurt. But you're in Georgia, Mimi, so you can't have it that cold there, right? You're probably warming up by now, though. Because I remember when I lived in Texas, by Valentine's Day, I was planting tomatoes. Yeah, the cold definitely did not last very long there. But you know where Fort Stewart is, Mimi, in Georgia? My son is stationed there. He's in the military. So if I ever go down there to visit, I don't know how far it is from you, but maybe I could visit you. Yeah, I know. I like putting it on in the background. Yeah. AJ's thing last night was so much fun. I really loved it. It was AJ, me, and Rick from Gardening with Barchuk, and the three of us. We're talking live. AJ says his wife won't let him bring the worms upstairs into like the main house. He says she'll kill him. Oh, below 60, and you call it cold. Yeah, well, if you're not used to it. Where is that? Jessup? Where is that? We will. We'll do it again now that I kind of I'm not going to say I figured it out, but I kind of know what app to look for, and I'm going to see if I could figure it out. Now the free version I can have 6 people. So oh my gosh, -7, but get out of here. That is cold. You're in Canada though, aren't you? Idaho, you get snow too though. Woo. I grew up in Jersey. My husband and I are from New Jersey. And we would get snow. We get feet of snow. One time it snowed so much we couldn't find the car. Cars were all covered in snow, like mountains. People were getting sticks and like just poking to see if you could find your car. Oh, okay. 30 minutes from Fort Stewart. Yeah, that's where he is. I FaceTime with him. I'm just hoping with the problems that are happening between Russia over there that they don't deploy my son. I don't want to see him go. Terrifies me as a mother. It doesn't matter how old they get. You always worry. My son is 31. I have twin boys. They're both 31, but just because they're grown men, I always tell them doesn't mean I get to retire as your mom. Yeah, no, not an Indiana accent. So my husband and I grew up in Jersey, and I worked as a dental assistant for many years, and he was my patient, and that's how we met. But when we got married, we bought a house, and our house was less than a mile from the World Trade Center, and we were there when it blew up. It was horrible. It was horrible. We had neighbors that died and disappeared. So after that, my husband's company offered him a position in Houston, and I'll never forget this. My gosh, we were sleeping, and I was pregnant with my youngest daughter. And at like 4 in the morning, he turned the light on. He said, "Hey, want to move to Texas?" And I'm like, "What?" I thought he was playing because he does stuff like that. He plays around with me a lot. And I'm like, Texas? He goes, yeah, they offered me a position and I have to let them know tomorrow. They gave him overnight. And I'm like, what? Lights went on and, everything got crazy. But I said, yeah, let's go. Let's just go. We're going. Because, yeah, it was very scary being there. So because of that, the funny thing is our house sold in 45 minutes after putting it up for sale. I never thought, and it was a beautiful house, but I thought, who's going to buy this house less than a mile from the World Trade Center? But yeah, it sold right away. And we moved to Houston. We lived there for about, I think, like 8 or 10 years. My youngest daughter was born there. She's a Texan. So, but, I hate the heat. The heat is down there. It's just too extreme. It's like 110 every day. I can't stand it. Yeah, they do. They do. And I was pregnant with my daughter. And when that happened, we thought of hopping in the car and going to Pennsylvania. And the highway was blocked by the military. They weren't letting anyone out. So we were stuck at home. My husband started filling up the bathtubs with water because you never know, an emergency. And then right after that, there was a scare of anthrax. They were saying that it could come in the mail. So our mail delivery person was like delivering mail with this white outfit on, and I was terrified to go get the mail. So when he got offered the position in Houston, I'm like, yeah, let's go. So we went, and it was nice living there, but the heat was, I couldn't stand it. I thought I was going to melt. So when they offered him a position in Indiana, I'm like, Indiana, they have the 4 seasons. Yeah, let's go. So yeah, all of our moves have always been extreme moves, like we don't move from here to the next town. Our moves are like from this state to that state. It hasn't been easy, but we've done it. So I'm just hoping that we don't move again because I really like living here. I live in the farming community. I think there's like 100 people around here, maybe. And I live in a forest, and I love it. I love it. It's quiet here. There's deer and like wild turkeys running around out there. So yeah, I don't want to move again. I'm very happy here. So yeah, I know I saw a lot of people like it was bad. But as much as people complain about this country, I still think that we live in the best country in the world. Oh, okay. Your husband was in the military? Yeah, my son's been in the military since he was 18. They both were. But the one stayed in it, like he kept re-enlisting because he just loves it. Wow. From Hawaii to Idaho. Wow, that is a big change. And in every state that I've lived in, I've always had a garden. So, and I noticed the soils have always been very different. The soil in New Jersey, you can grow like the best tomatoes in New Jersey. That's why they call Jersey tomatoes are the best. And then in Texas, because of the heat, the beets I grew were the size of softballs. And the onions I grew were the size of softballs. They were massive. But in Texas, you can't grow the cool season things. Like you can't grow lettuce there. I tried and it bolts so fast, and I had trouble with things like that. And here I had in the middle of my garden a giant tree, and it was shade, and I still grew out there. But then the tree had to be taken down one day because they had a crack in it, and they were afraid it was gonna like fall and hurt somebody. Your son is in there as well. Yeah, you must be as proud as I am, serving our country. Yeah, my son's always liked the military. I knew he was going to be in the military when he was a little boy. And when he finished his first 7 years, he fell in love and got married. And I have like 6 grandchildren. And then he went back in, and I knew he would. He's always liked that he'll retire, probably in the military. I'm eating lemon potato chips. They're actually lime. They are so good. I like sour things. I don't have a sweet tooth. I like more sour and savory. Yeah. Yep. Forget about the summer. Yeah, you can't do lettuce in the summer in Texas. Mm-mm. Even where I lived in Texas, which was about 45 minutes north of Houston, spring was like very fast. You had a very little spring because it would go from like extreme heat to maybe a cooler and then bam, heat again. So it was like if you didn't have that little window, just forget it. But the vegetables with for the heat, they were huge. I mean, I had tomatoes that were huge, and then those rats would come up from the bayou and like eat them all. Aggravating. I also had a lot of birds down there that would attack my tomatoes. I had to put tomato nets, and even the nets they were getting. But my biggest problem there were the rats. They were awful, awful. They'd swim in those bayous, and they were pretty big. So I don't. I've heard of it. One year I tried the Ruth Stout gardening. Yes, Jersey, the Garden State. Except I lived in Hudson County, which is the county closest to Manhattan, and it's like it's city life. I hate the city. The rest of New Jersey is beautiful. So I tried growing potatoes the Ruth Stout method, which I did last year. Yeah, I it was terrible for me. I failed. So I hardly got any potatoes, like nothing. The plants grew, but there weren't potatoes. And I think the one I got had like bites in it from the moles, of course. Rick, do you remember what happened to my potatoes last summer? Every potato I pulled out had a bite in it from that mole. I didn't get a single potato. I was so mad. So I don't know. They say that if you have a mole, um, I don't know if this is true. Now, you all tell me if you've tried this. They say if you take Wrigley spearmint gum and you break it up and you put it in one of the mole holes, that they'll eat it and die. So I don't know. No, yeah, the Ruth Stout method just did not work for me. It brings in the ducks for you, and that wasn't the first time I've tried the Ruth Stout. It just didn't work for me. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm not putting enough mulch. I mean, I put a lot, but I've seen her videos where she just tosses the potato and then puts the straw in it and just walks away. Yeah, that didn't happen to me. Oh, snakes. Oh my gosh, the snakes I had in Texas. I'll never forget this. One day I was on my hands and knees planting carrots in Texas, and I saw something move out of the corner of my eye. And when I look over, there was a cottonmouth. You all know what a cottonmouth? It's a snake that the inside of his mouth is cotton and they're very venomous. And this thing was massive and it was slithering right past me, going under the fence on his way to the bayou. He was probably going to go eat rats down there. I froze. It was horrible. Here in the south, the robins babies will be here soon. Oh, make sure you have your windows covered or they will eat all your worms. Yeah, your windrows. Oh, they're so cute though. They are. I'd love them. I know. Well, when I saw that giant thing slithering past me, I mean, I just froze. I froze because I didn't want to move too fast because I didn't want it looking at me because the thing was big. It was like 5 feet long. And this was definitely a cottonmouth. It was big and round, and yeah, they're very dangerous. But you know, here I am just planting my little old carrots, and that thing came, and oh boy, we're putting my first worm windrow in the garden this year. I think I'm gonna do it with cinder blocks, and I'm gonna put a concrete slabs with cracks in between so the water could drain on the floor, because I know that if I just put the cinder blocks and just use the soil, the moles are gonna have a feast. They really are. They'll destroy it. I don't like surprises either. I won't kill them. I don't. I just don't. I don't mess with the snakes. I don't kill them. I just wish they'd just not come near me. Yeah, the moles. I hate the moles. They were a big problem last year. But I don't know. We'll see. And I've tried mole traps. Yeah, they don't work. Did I ever tell you about the time that I stepped on a mole in my garden? A live one? So I was in my garden, right? And the mole at that second, right behind me, just happened to poke his head out of the hole. And I stepped on it and I felt that wiggle under my foot. Oh my gosh, I almost died. And when I looked down, I had killed it and it was lying there on the ground. Yeah, that was interesting. What kind of ground cover? Like what do you call that black stuff that people put in their gardens? I forget what it's called. It's that black sheeting. It's just got to be able to drain, because if not, it'll be I know someone that built a windrow and they put tarp on the bottom of it, and he said it was the biggest mess. It was bad. Um Gardening. Yes, gardening cloth. That's what it is. Yeah, I believe I have some in my garage. I have some sheets of that. 1 pound of worms per square foot of surface. That is true. That is the rule. So, Mimi, when are you going to go live again? Because she'll give you a lot of good tips like that. You know, that's why I like when people go live, so we can just get more tips. 1 pound of worms for 1 square foot of space. I write it down so I don't forget, even though I know it. So when are you going live again? And if y'all haven't subscribed to Mimi's Worms, do it and put that little bell, because then when she goes live, you won't miss it. And Gardening with Bart Chuckin. Subscribe to him too. Why don't we all just subscribe to each other? Everybody, just start subscribing. Sundays at 2 Eastern time. Okay. You guys heard that? Sundays, 2 o'clock Eastern time. So that'll be tomorrow. So I don't know what time zone y'all are in. I know I'm on Eastern time. AJ's on Pacific time, so he's like an hour behind us. I think it's behind us. I can't remember. So, yeah, tune in. I'll tune in tomorrow, 2 o'clock. I better write that down. Even though I am subscribed to your channel, still, I might be doing something else. 2 o'clock Sunday. So Sunday's my day to work with the worms too. If I have any orders come in, Sunday will be the day I start preparing them so that I could go to the post office Monday and ship. Even though this week I'll be shipping on Tuesday because Monday is a holiday. It's President's Day. Sometimes I ship Monday through Friday, but I just don't like the worms sitting in the post office over the weekend. So, I've done it, but I prefer not to. Because if I ship Tuesday, I want them to get to you by the end of the week so they don't sit there. So, but it happens. Oh, thank you, Tammy. We'll try to be, Illinois Central Time. So AJ is Central Time then. I think I have that kind of ground cover. I know someone that uses that ground cover, that cloth stuff on the worm bins. He uses it on the surface of them to keep the moisture in, or try to keep the moisture in. I also use burlap on my breeder bins or my bins. Like I'll cut a square out of burlap. And it lasts a while, but they eat it eventually. But they like it. You can also use an old t-shirt. If you have an old t-shirt that you want to get rid of, like cut it in half so you have two of them and you can put it on the surface of two worm bins. What? Dinner's ready? Yeah. Okay. I'm a coming. Well, you all heard. My daughter has prepared Cuban beans, and it is time for me to have dinner. She said, come on, let's eat. So she probably made a salad too. Yeah, when scooping out, I imagine so that we don't pull up the tarp or the cover at the bottom. Oh, well, that's interesting. You see, I like growing hot peppers, but I don't eat them because they're just too hot for me. So Gardening with Barchuck is going to do a shirt giveaway when he reaches 500 subscribers. That is awesome. I love giveaways. They arrive on Saturday afternoon. The mail still moves the truck every day. Oh, my ex-husband used to haul mail, is why I know this. Okay, if they arrive at the post office, it is a temp. Our post office here is tiny. Like, it is the smallest post office ever. For me to ship my worms, I have to go to another post office in another town because it's bigger and it has more movement. This post office I have near me only opens for like 3 hours a day, and then that's it. Yeah. You don't eat them either? Your husband makes sauces. Yeah, Joe loves them. He likes to eat them. I won't eat them. Even though I do like to grow jalapenos, and I'll make jalapeno poppers. Yeah. So maybe this summer, if I grow jalapenos, I'll make jalapeno poppers with you guys. People have told me they like my cooking videos because I give them a lot of tips and I know how to cook. I also want to use my brick oven down there by my Bigfoot fire pit again. Yeah, for those of you that don't know me, I hunt Bigfoot. I love Bigfoot. I've been after Bigfoot since I was like 9 years old. I have a Bigfoot tattoo. But every year I go hunting but for Bigfoot. I go by myself. My husband, packs my car and says bye, and I go. And but I have my own personal fire pit down at the edge of the forest. And it's big, so I call it the Bigfoot fire pit. And he built me a brick oven out there, wood burning brick oven, and I bake bread out there and I make pizza out there. So it's fun. Well, anyway, guys, I've been on here for an hour and a half. I want to thank you for joining me. If you haven't subscribed yet, press that button, give us the bell, and look on the list and just subscribe to everybody. We got to help each other out. But Mimi's going to go live at 2 o'clock on Sunday, so don't miss her, and I'll be there. I'll be watching too. And I'll see you guys soon. Well, I'm glad you came. Thank you so much for coming and asking questions and participating. And you know, worm farming is fun. We can learn from each other, you know, to get those food scraps into castings and out of the landfill. You know, our landfills, they need a lot of help. And like my motto says, you know, saving the earth one worm at a time. So I should get that printed on a t-shirt or a mug or something. Well, all right, guys. Well, take care. Thank you for coming. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.